So, she doesn't leave work. She's not happy at her job. She has to have this paycheck. She has cancer, doesn't take any time off. Because even through thick and thin, you have to be self-sufficient. That is a safety need. My basic safety and survival needs are not met. I cannot rest. I cannot go to sleep. I can't let my body have a break. Because if I don't watch out, then something will be taken from me. I can only count on myself. What a lonely place to be. I definitely had that. That's one of the ones that I shattered this past 2 years. I can only count on myself. I don't remember where your Saturn is, but that's like a typical Saturn in the 1st, a Saturn in the 7th. I have mine in the 7th too. That's very much, because the 7th is the house of friends. And if I can't count on my friends, I might do everything for them, but I won't ever ask for help. I've since changed to this. Now I am like calling in my girls, like I got myself a posse. Because cancer taught me that. You need your peeps. You need your peeps. You got us.
I got my peeps now.
But it's on cancer.
You got us.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when self-sufficiency, that means that if you're self-sufficient, no other is allowed. That's a lonely place to be.
It's a war, and I have to harmonize.
That's a value statement. That's a war. This is a war. And I better be armed. So her life will be war.
Not anymore.
Well, because now you're on your up. Now you've chiseled through. Now you can have your plain green pasture, as I'm calling it, and now I can have new views on marriage, new views on friendship. Your Saturn, I'll show you where you need to learn new views. But your old values will be chiseled and chiseled and chiseled, and that's where it's going to hurt. That's where God is going to hurt you. I had a client yesterday. She has a child that has special needs, has this disease, chromosomal disease. The child will need help 24/7 for the rest of his life. And she has a 3-year-old. And yesterday, the child was diagnosed autistic. And she's like, I knew it, because she's a therapist. She's like, I knew it, but I didn't want to admit it. I just blamed it on speech pathology, but now he's 3, and I know. She's like, God hates me. And this is another way of the universe saying, oh, you criticized your own mother? Show me you can do it better. But she had these preconceived things. And that's what people come with. They come with anger. This is a war. This place isn't safe. Why would God have children be killed? Why would we blame God? And it's not God. It is the result of our past actions. You are where you are, and that is why Saturn is karma, because of the result of your past action. I must have been one hell of a bitch. I must have been one mean person. I must have killed all my husbands off in past lives. Who the hell knows? It is result of past action. And this line of study, we must educate our client. And so I was like, no, that's not the way it works, you know? But these are the conversations that we have with our clients. Taking personal responsibility. We are not victims under any circumstance. The universe is perfect, and so you are being given that thing exactly where it hurts, because that's exactly where you need to defy your values. So Marion cannot be a loner. Marion cannot be a know-it-all. Marion cannot be a do-it-all. Marion needs to ask for help. Marion needs to get softer. Because what's self-sufficient? There's only law of gender. There's only 2 energies in the entire world, masculine, feminine. That is Shiva. Shiva is the he-she. In Hinduism, why do you think every god in Hinduism has a husband and a wife? It isn't a polytheistic religion, if you really think about it. They're showing you the masculine and the feminine polarity. So Shiva and Parvati, If you look at Shiva, I have this huge, beautiful Shiva in the front of my house. And kids will come, or people will come, and they don't know what it is, and they're like, is it a he, is it a she? It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's the Shiva Shakti principle. We are 50-50 in terms of the energies. I mean, obviously our manifestation is male or female. That's what the transgender movement is trying to capture. It's part of the end of the Kali Yuga to start back in the Satya Yuga. So, if she is self-sufficient, who's the one who pays the bills, the male or the female?
The female?
Male.
The male.
Classic.
Right,
Oh.
that's changing.
Yeah.
That's changing. But the man, right, that in itself is your story. The man pays the bills. The man takes care. So
Right.
she has to be self-sufficient. She has to kill off her feminine. She didn't have kids. She had breast cancer. We're either too masculine or too feminine. We're constantly, law of gender, you'll read it in the Kabbalah. It's a polarity. That was me. I was the money maker. I was the man to my kids. My ex-husband was like the mother, the sweet, and I was the one that was the discipline, and I was the one that paid the bills, and I was the one, because I had a fucked up value system that men were more of value. Because what did I tell you? My brother was born and my mom was done having kids and I was an accident. So you're only of worth if you're a man. And we have these things. Women are really struggling with this.
Yes.
Very much so. And we're killing off our feminine. And that's why I say Mother Earth is pissed and she's coming back to take her power back. At the origin of the earth, it was all of the divine feminine. It's the earth that gives you food. It is the intuition that is the feminine intelligence. That was all killed off with the patriarch. And so we have slowly valued intellect, buddhi, and we have forgotten our chitta, and we have slowly valued the masculine, validation, corporate ladder, resume virtues, do, move, go, ego. Where's the softness? Where's the sweetness? Where's the compassion? That's viewed as weak.
Yes.
That's viewed as vulnerable. That's viewed as you're worthless. I was watching this movie last night. It's called Family Man. I didn't get to finish seeing it. I want to finish it tonight. Have you seen it? And Gerard Butler is in it. And he's like, I'm freaking Santa Claus because every month I pull the mortgage out of my ass. And And what are you, to his wife, what are you going to get a job with Pinterest? Like, that she knows about Pinterest and decorating kids' parties? And she's like, I may not be able to get a job like you have, but I have my priorities straight. Because their kid in the movie had leukemia and he was off working and she was about a kid. A family man.
There was an album I was thinking about.
Oh, okay, maybe this is the new version of it. And it's the resume virtues versus the eulogy virtues.
Wow.
I've been working on resume virtues my whole life until I stopped. I mean, I have always been someone who's worked on my eulogy virtues. It's a Piscean, very Piscean thing. But now I'm actually doing it. Before I was just saying it, now I'm actually doing it. And I'm embracing my feminine. So when I got breast cancer, my husband was like, double mastectomy. And I was like, that's the last thing I need. I need more. I don't want bigger breasts, but I needed them. I needed to embrace my feminine. I didn't need to chop off my feminine. And again, no judgment for the women that need their feminine and they chop it off. That's their choice. But for me, I understood.
Yeah, what it was for you.
So I took piano classes and I ended up having surgery intentionally. I had it on International Women's Day. I had my surgery on birth 8, and then the year to the day I had a birth of Venus party. And I had all my girlfriends and we danced on the labyrinth, Celtic music and I had an opera lady sing, and because I need to embrace the feminine and I want to be so strong but with compassion.
Yeah.
And I was so hard. I was such a bitch. I used to be hard. Because at a young age I learned conception. And then my story, I saw my dad. My dad had the money, my dad had the power, my dad was the one. So you see why people become what they are.
Yeah.
And you can have empathy. And when you understand this, you can't be mad at anyone because you're like, of course. Of course. But that's what's happened. So this is very masculine. We need to move her into more of a feminine polarity. It's in that balance that we find health. It's in that balance that she can leave her job, maybe get a job that's different, and she's lonely in her job, of course, because she has to be self-sufficient. She's the only person in that office. Jen. Okay, so you mentioned education. That's a biggie. What was the thing of education?
Well, my mom, she didn't get her first degree until she was like 30 years old. So that was a big thing, always the
Did she ever finish high school when she was pregnant?
Yeah, she finished high school. And then she, and then growing up, she said that she was always called stupid. So she felt that she was not capable of doing that. And then
You
later
probably
on,
had a strong gender and stuff too.
yeah, and so then, so I grew up with that. Always, getting a degree.
So one of the things that's happening here, and I had that same thing, is I have to do and repair that wound. I have to repair the wound for my mother. And maybe that wasn't her thought, oh my God, will I be able to finish high school or not? But something had to happen. She was in high school. There had to be something there already that in the gestation, in the womb, you learned the importance or the value of education. Or maybe she said, come hell or high water, I will finish this high school diploma. And there it was already planted. But then your mom doesn't get her degree until later. So how does it come for you? Do you acquire a lot of certificates and titles and diplomas, and do you study a lot because you're very, very smart?
I always like to study. I'm always watching documentaries or reading something. So that was very important. And also, too, she was the first one in my family to get a college degree. So that's why it was also very important.
Okay, so there's strong value there. Attachments are not only material like cars and jewelry and computers. Knowledge is an attachment. So here, there's a strong element of intellect, where the value of the acquisition of knowledge or the intellect is giving me my worth. Your values right there on your paper, these values give you your worth. That means if you fail to do, and write that on your paper, if you fail to do any of these values, you will feel worthless, or your self-esteem will be less. And I was the same way. I acquired title and degree after degree after degree. I never stopped. And one day, when I realized this, I went to people used to joke with me that my letters behind my name were so much that I would have to turn the business card over. I had 20 letters behind my name. And one day I'm like, this isn't me. This is me repairing. This is me of value. That's the knowledge. I had so many degrees and I knew nothing. Seriously. I became quote unquote intelligent when I learned to read the records. When I connected to the divine knowledge, that's where I've learned everything. I have a PhD, I have 2 master's degrees, I have a bachelor's degree. I went to my internet and I took off my signature all of my letters. I only left PhD because I run colleges and professionally, because that was a value system that I'm like, this doesn't make me of worth. And that at the bottom of that paper, so when you hear your client give a value statement, oh, I can't get divorced, my kids can't have a stepfather, those are value statements. Therefore, if that client does that, they lose their self-worth. And that is the disease of cancer. Cancer is a disease related to identification. Identification with a role, a job, financial status is ego. That's the ahamkar. Identification. Everyone who has cancer is identifying with whatever that organ means. I need more of. You know kapha, right? Kapha creates more of. It's massive.
And so it does it in that order.
So in that organ, I have a tumor, I need more breast. I need more mom. I need more boob for my kid. And I needed my other 50% of my kid time.
Which makes sense because my mom had recently gotten cancer, so.
So cancer is a disease related to the ego and identification. And the reason, the reason that we identify is because that's what we think our role is. That's who we think we are. That's why it's a barrier. That's why when she says, who really am I? We are an Atman. We are divine. We are perfect. We are cosmic consciousness. We are in the flow. Everything is as it needs to be. But we cannot get there if the head is in the way. So buddhi has its place. The intellect has its place. The logic has its place. But we are all living with these values as if they're the logic and this is how it is. And they're personal truths. Not one of these is in any spiritual book is a universal truth. Not one! Therefore, it needs to be shattered.
So, that explains
And
my
then we get
identity
cancer.
crisis.
Of course you have an identity crisis. Of course. You have no clue who you are. I know. And we're going to see your Saturn.
I do, but I don't.
Then you don't. Because that's not
Yeah.
health. If you do and you don't, then you can't say, do, think, feel the same.
No, I have an idea, but, nothing tangible.
Well, then you have to trust your gut so you can get to that.
Yeah.
So cancers are identification, and you want to know what the person's issue is, find out what organ and find out the purpose of the organ.
So what's prostate cancer?
Prostate has to do with the gonads and not being chosen sexually. So there could have been an infidelity, there could have been, like in my case, that my brother, the male, was preferred to the female, which just in my case, because I had two older sisters, that wasn't their issue. It could be that your offspring are having some sort of crisis. One of the things,
Really?
yeah, they were chosen, they didn't get the job, so you get the prostate to heal for your kids.
So the guy I take care of that has all those mental issues, his father got prostate cancer last year.
Okay. Yeah. Because you have to remember universal truth, we are all one. That's why Sonia, the person who sits in your chair or lays on your table, you have that. They come for a back issue, you're a massage service, right? Then you have that.
That's nice.
We are all one. And I cannot tell you more words of advice. The one that saved my life, especially for us delusional folk in the room, every single person is your mirror. And that person there is to show you you. And if you have the privilege of working with people and doing this kind of work, and you do not take that home to yourself, and you're like this, and you're not like this, you're missing the freaking point.
Yeah.
That is what saved my life. There is not a person that doesn't sit in my chair that I don't then, after that session or at the end of the day, look at it. And that's how I found all my shit out. Because I'm so damn delusional and such an ego freaking maniac that I couldn't have seen it myself. So the other is your friend.
Yep.
And I'll give you some techniques.
What about colon cancer?
Colon cancer has to do with some shit that you cannot tolerate, you cannot accept. If it's in the ascending colon, it has to do with people that are superiors, your bosses, your parents. If it's in the transverse colon, it has to do with people that are your peers, colleagues. And if it has to do with the descending call, it has to do with your children or people that are less than you, younger than you. But it's something that you cannot accept, that you cannot swallow, that you cannot, all of the gassiness, all of those sort of vata kind of stuff is linked to that. And it's usually, FYI, something about themselves. So, your beautiful parents birth you, conceive you, and your parent is a thief. Their side hobby is shoplifting. An example. Well, you have that in you. So you go to work and you take a pen, or you steal the job from your neighbor, or you take home something that isn't yours and you just brush it off as, oh, it's just a folder. Oh, they're a multi-million-dollar company. That can cause a cancer in the gut. That can cause gas. Because if I cannot tolerate a shit that I am, and you are doing that, but you're like, I hate my mother because she was a shoplifter, and you're shoplifting in minor ways, it's because you haven't fully accepted who you are. We have 3 steps: awareness, integration, and discipline. The band AID, A-I-D. First is awareness. What's what we're doing today? We're becoming aware. This is what you're going to bring to your client, to make them aware of their crap. Integration is when you accept that you have this in you, and you love yourself despite not being self-sufficient, not having an education, not honoring your word, not honoring elders, harming others. You say, yep, I'm a bitch. I didn't take care of you. I saw that old person just dead on the floor and I just left them there. And I can still love myself. And then the discipline is doing it different. I want to be a man of my word, then I say I'm going to call, and I call. That's the mind, body, spirit. You cannot get there off the bat. That's why we have dinacharya. Dinacharya is a mind game. That's all it is. To get a client to be consistent with 1 or 2 things, so that they can eventually be consistent with the deeper issues that are embedded in the mind. It's a mind game. If you can get them to drink hot water and lemon every morning, then you will eventually get them to say...
She just said that at lunch. She's doing that now. That's why she's laughing so hard.
Then you can eventually get them to, go deeper. And most people, remember, the mind is material. But most people do not think that. Where is the mind located?
Entire body.
Okay?
Between every cell.
Yes. In Ayurveda, it's believed to be in the heart, that the origin is in the heart. That is why, first of all, 4th chakra. This is where, when you do any sort of connection work, you connect to your heart chakra. It's called the Hridayam. But yes, the mind is located everywhere. In Ayurveda, the 4th month, the baby is born, the heart is developed. Because remember, that first trimester, they're still deciding. So once they anchor the heart, they get this, the mind starts there, etc., etc. But yes, it's everywhere. Manomaya kosha, my shrota, I'm having a blank.
Which,
Shrota.
Yeah, mana, and then shrota.
Right. Manava shrota, thank you, I couldn't remember. And in the body, it's in every cell. If you haven't read this book, highly recommend it, or at least watch some of his YouTube videos. Bruce Lipton wrote a book called Biology of Belief. And he talks about this exact concept. He is a neurobiologist or neuroscientist, something. He's a medical doctor, and he...
What's the title?
Biology of Belief.
And the author?
Bruce Lipton. And he's got a bunch of YouTube videos. He's super cute. And he talks about this. So in Western medicine, they believe the mind is located in the brain. In Ayurvedic medicine, we know it's everywhere. But where is the materialization? The cell. That is why if I don't have enough time with my kids, I get breast cancer. The cell is telling me what's in my mind. That is why we look at the illness. The physical illness tells you what the belief is in the person. The erroneous, false, limiting belief that's their value system and their unmet need. So the body is simply the roadmap of the psyche. So people come for physical ailments. You are not healing their body. You are healing their mind. You start with the body. Take these herbs, drink this water, do this yoga pose. Because you're taking them from the densest up, up, up. I happen to be a person who starts right at the seed. That's my practice, that's what people come for. I don't know why they keep coming back, but they get it from the get-go. That's why I say I don't, quote unquote, practice traditional Ayurveda, because I don't work upward. Although sometimes if I have to send an herb or oils or things like that, crystals, I do all that. But that's not the nature of my practice. I have been able to sort of take my wound and pinpoint it. It took me a really long time to really get because I'm normally very vata, very scattered, jack of all trades, master of none, but this past 2 years has helped me fine tune and I found my vocation. But you guys may not start off the top with that, but that's what you have to have in your head. The client comes in and that's what I want you thinking about. The physical stuff is all practice, practice, practice to get you to that. The client doesn't need to know perhaps the first day with you, but you need to know. You need to start thinking in those terms. They have that eczema because there's a thought related to that. And that thought is that seed, that's where the chart will help you. And I'll show you the moon, the Saturn, I'll show you the manas, how you see that impulsiveness and stuff like that. Okay. Ken. Protect those who can't protect themselves. Okay? Talk to me. We already know that you hurt your mom with your big body.
Well, I was the oldest, so I was the babysitter.
Okay, the babysitter.
And my sister was 7 years younger.
Oh,
My brother's
there
2
you
years
go.
younger, yes.
7. Protection. If I do not protect you, I am not of worth. Ken came this morning. I don't know if you knew I was sick or not. He came, he set up, he made me throat tea. Old Francis would have been like, no. Now I'm like, soft, gentle Francis, the feminine. Yes, take care of me. Like, I was like, thank you so much, God. Like, I was like loving it. So I was loving it. He was having his needs met, and we were having this love affair with the generosity. But he needs to understand that if that is taken, if someone says no, and the ego gets hurt, because that's what happens, it's an unmet need, it's a value statement.
Yeah.
And you must protect yourself before you protect anyone. You have to think of the chakras. I focus very much on the second, third, and fourth chakras of my practice. Second chakra is desire, sex, food, passion, all of the earthly things. That's why in the scriptures, which is very wrong because it's misinterpreted, is money, these things and those things are bad and people are like money's bad and things are bad. No. What is one of the 4 life stages in Ayurveda?
Yeah, money.
Kama. Desire. Because Ayurveda knows that if you don't give in to those desires, you are not going to get to moksha. You need to eat. You need to buy all the stuff that you need to buy. Get it out of your system. If not, it's going to sit in Om. You're going to be thinking of the jewelry. You're going to be thinking of the hot bag.
So true.
You're going to be, give me a break. So Ayurveda is so wise. The way that the stages of life are set up back in the day is that what would happen is that people, when they got to this money making, in the kama and the householder ages, they would pay into the ashram. They would send money to the ashram like alms. Because when they got to 60 in moksha, they would renunciate. That's why they wear the orange and stuff like that. They renunciated all of their worldly goods because they gave it themselves all the pleasure that they wanted. They've met all their resume virtues. They've gotten all the things that they wanted to do. Now they can check into the ashram, but because they had been paying, they didn't have to worry about food or clothing or roof or anything. Then the latter stage of their life, they can meditate and work on their spirit. But we don't live like that. We now have to do it all intertwined. Several years ago, I used to have a blog, and my guides would give me a topic, and then I would write about it. And it was New Year's. It was New Year's Day blog. I can find it somewhere, I'm sure, on the internet. And they said, think of the parts of the body, like your body, your mind, your spirit, like these aspects. What room in the house is dedicated to the body? The bathroom,
Kitchen,
the kitchen,
the bedroom.
the bedroom. What is dedicated to the mind?
The TV.
Okay. The
The
TV,
computer
your
room.
office, your computer room. What room is dedicated to the spirit? In this culture, in India,
Church.
you can be, but that's not in your house. When God is in you. And your connection with your mind, your body, and your spirit is daily. It is not 1 hour on Sunday.
Yeah.
In India, you could be the poorest of the poorest of the poorest. You'll have a puja room this freaking tiny. But you've got your deity and you've got your incense. They can live in a shoe and they have that. Because it's ingrained, the mind, body, spirit, always. We are trying to capture that. That is why this is such a materialistic society, such a materialistic world. It is the nature of the United States. They came over to be free and have all of these rights and money and blah, blah, blah. But the spirit is lacking.
Yeah.
That is why we do these things.
It's not only the US, it's the
Oh, the
entire
Western world. I'll give you a quick mythological story. So, Neptune rules Pisces, and Athena is like the god of war, but the wisdom. And Neptune and Athena are having a fight. And they go to Greece, and they say, who do you want to be the patron saint of your country? And Neptune says, I promise you that I will give you divine intelligence, spiritual knowledge, an understanding of yourself, of who you are. And Athena says, I'm going to give you the olive branch and food and money and wealth. And the Greeks pick Athena, hence Athens. The West has those values. The East has the spiritual values. We are in a process of East meets West. We don't have to throw out what we do. We are what we are. But the need to incorporate that desire and that need of a spiritual foundation so that we can understand who we are is imperative. It's imperative, and that's why all the yoga, and that's why all the Buddhism, and that's why all of the stuff moving. That's like a little anecdote from Greek mythology. The Greeks didn't want the knowledge of the I am, and the Greeks didn't want the spirit. Give us the olives, and give us the wine, and give us the food, and give us the cash. And that's Athena, the patron saint. So, our values of the country that we were born into are in us. These values are not only, remember what I said, it's your culture, your religion, your gender, your society, your home. So that's why this is 3. You guys are being riddled with values and values, 1 second after the other, after the other, after the other. Can you imagine how many of them knocked down? But they usually boil down to one basic thing, which is what we'll look at with the Saturn. So Sonia, honor elders. What's that about?
It's real Colombian right there.
Yeah, that is
What's the
very
story? Did your grandparents raise you? Did they live with you?
No, but I was always taught to not to do that,
Don't talk about it.
pretty much to believe in what the elders had to say.
is a classic, someone else knows more than you. That could be your doctor, that could be your priest, that could be your husband. So I don't know what's best for me. I don't know how to make a choice or a decision. I defer to the other. I don't really know. So if you start pulling the story, you get more and more and more of the details. Are you married? Were you ever married?
No.
You date?
No, not really.
But have you dated in the past?
Oh, yes.
Do you tend to date older people?
Yes, in my later in life, yes,
Older men?
yes.
It's that looking for the father figure, it's looking for the patriarch, it's looking for the authority. So this is a very basic protection need. Because if law and order and duty and the church and the patriarchy is going to give me the rules, you are given the rules, you will thrive. Pero que no te dejen without rules. Like, this is what you have to do. Or you go the other extreme and you hate rules and you're like, screw the rules.
I've only had one partner that's older, and in the beginning of the relationship, it worked really well. But halfway through the relationship, I couldn't stand it. I felt like I was with my father.
And that was probably during a Saturn cycle or something.
I don't know, but I
You could
rejected
check.
it.
The other extreme.
100%.
And then did you go the other route and date a young guy? I married a real old guy, then I married a real young guy.
No, I haven't really had anyone, I really haven't had anyone after him. So-
But there's a strong thing there with that patriarchy or the rules or the authority, things like that. And so what that creates in itself is a self-doubt.
Uh-huh.
That someone else, teacher, priest, whoever, guru, knows more.
Yes, I definitely know that I had a lot of that going into the relationship.
Okay.
And then I felt that I worked through it
Perfect.
because there came a time where it was like total rejection. It's like, please don't tell me what to do, or don't suggest. I just had
never heard you talk
an
like
aversion.
And you broke it off?
It was kind of mutual.
Was it mutual or was it you
wasn't-
wanting him to break it off? But you kind of made it seem like he decided, but it was really you all along.
Good question. Well, I wouldn't say that that was the main reason that we broke it off. Why did we break it off? What's your question again?
You said that you outgrew this or you learned your lesson with this and this will happen. But even the way that we break up can indicate certain things. So I was just picking on you for a moment. Because sometimes if we're,
I gotta recall.
okay, so if it's still the authority, let him believe sort of that he's the one who ultimately was the one who broke it off. But you knew you had checked out way before.
Actually, that did happen.
Yeah, because you honor the elder. So it's really you who was,
Yeah.
but let him kind of decide and be on the face, the one.
So always please the woman. I let her. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
I
So
love it. That's so
it's
good.
in every
So I'm
situation.
still there, you're telling me.
Oh, we're always still there. Guys, our ego doesn't die.
Damage.
It doesn't die until we detach from the body. So I have this saying, you have to learn how to die. If you've ever seen someone die, leave the physical body, you see all different things. You see people at peace, you see people that fight to the last minute. That is how they dealt with the crisis throughout their life. So in these crises, divorces, bankruptcy, breakups, firings, whatever your dark night of the soul, getting your car repoed, whatever it is, the way that you show up for that mini death is going to determine how you detach from here. So with each of these crises, her 7 year that she's in now,
Me?
yeah, You want to show up. We just finished ours. We just finished our main one. Like, I have another one now, but it's with my moon. It's different. Is how we, at the end of our life, we can see this on the chart. You can see how the person's going to detach. It's crazy. Because if we don't learn through these things, then at the end of the biggest detachment, we feel it all. At that point, you can't hide it, you can't drug, you can't drink it. You're dying, you're in a hospital bed. You're feeling everything. So it's safe to say that people that suffer a lot, that go through a lot of pain towards the end of their life when they're dying, didn't really detach very well in these mini deaths. And those that are more at peace or let it go easily. And in India, there is a whole process. One of the teachers that you're going to have next year, Dr. Rao, her father just died. And for weeks, they put a tube, he didn't want it, he wasn't eating. He already knew. He had already experienced himself in his, Satchidananda status, in his universal consciousness. There was nothing left. He just needed to let the body go. And this woman would talk to me. And I would just say, thank you for sharing this with me. Like, how beautiful. This was a testament to Ayurveda, because this man was an Ayurvedic physician. What a testament. So when we have our Saturn crisis, or we have these breakups or whatever, we show our true nature. So showing up for ourselves the next time, it's not to beat yourself up now, you know for the next time. Truth and clarity. When it's over, it's over. Honey, you're great, but you gotta go. And then you show up for yourself. And then now you're closer to your authenticity, and you're closer to your truthfulness, and you're closer to health. But just in that scenario, you can see how there was illness because you wanted to honor a fact's value. But why do we honor the value statement? Because you think that you're worthy, you're a better person. False, but we all think that. If we do this, that's why we're so attached to that. So these Saturn crises, but you never lose the ego until you lose the body. You do not. Remember the thing with Jesus. He had his higher self and he had his ego there. And he demonstrated both. Hopefully, the ego gets calmer and calmer and calmer with each one of these crises. Just a tad. Not all that much, but a drop. So we don't want to judge it. That's the integration. I love myself even though I manipulated this guy into believing that he broke up with me when really I was checked out 3 weeks ago. That's the second step. Awareness, integration, and then discipline to now the next time you be clear, you be honest, you be transparent. And Carolina, and then we'll go. Loyalty towards work, family, and faith. What was that? Who said it? How did you show it?
Mom. Mom and Dad, both of them.
How they show it or how they say it?
You gotta be loyal to your job, you have to have a good career and good money. Loyal to your family, regardless of what's going on, even if there's turmoil, loyal to
It sucks. You have to have a strong Cancer thing.
maybe.
You'll see tomorrow.
And
Do you tend to have codependent relationships? Do you tend to have asthma or respiratory stuff? Because if you can't leave the family, you can't leave the nest, you can't leave the womb, you can't leave the home. There is a story of the prodigal son in the Bible, and this guy has 2 kids. One of them leaves and one of them stays home. And the father sees the one who left years later come back up the road, and he goes running to him, son, you've returned. And he threw this huge party for him. And the one who stayed said, why are you celebrating my brother who left when I have stayed here? And he said, because he left and came home. We must leave the womb. We must leave the nest. We must go out there and try to do it on our own. Forget physically, psychologically. And we can physically have a job, get married, have a house, but if you never left the womb, imagine you guys inside your mother's body right now. People like us that have this strong Cancerian aspect, this womb enmeshment, I'm Cuban. It's like, imagine that you are still in your mother's body. You would kill her. If that were the case, in your size, you would, how do you say that, explode her uterus.
Yeah.
But emotionally and psychologically, you're still there.
Physically, I left a long time ago, but I think
But
psychologically.
psychologically, your girlfriend, you're still there.
I'm still there.
And so people like us is, what would our mom say, what our dad say, would they approve? And what we are looking for is permission.
Yes.
That's a big theme with us, permission. And so you never grow up. I had a girl the other day, had cancer, very much this permission issue. She ended up marrying a gay man. Had kids with him, never remarried, never anything. Love of her life, broke her heart. So why do you think that of all the men in the world you attracted a gay man? Because she would never ever really be a woman. If you're having a sexual relationship with a gay man per se, this is, you have to extrapolate here, it's not logic.
Right.
You're never really a woman, you're never really a wife, you're never really a mother. You are still a baby with your mom. And what her mom told her, her value statement was, when her mom birthed her, her mom said, I finally have something of my own. So she made it, and her mom would have always had her. So she had her kids and stuff, but she never really belonged to anyone else because he was never fully hers. So we break it down and we go to the themes.
Wow.
So
It's so nice we could do one thing and then move on to the next.
yeah, it doesn't work in this lifetime. In this lifetime, it's all about that. And that is, we'll do tomorrow, the evolution and the involution. So you first go out and then you come in. So what happens around 20s and 30s? People are getting their career, they're graduating, they're buying a house. It's external. You have to understand this about your client. When you have 20 and 30-year-old clients, they're on the evolution. They're building their resume. And then as we get older, astrologically, it's usually around 42, we start our involution. So my husband's 10 years younger than I am. And sometimes it's really hard. And my Jafar, I call my ego my Jafar complex, really forgets that he's only in his 30s. Of course he's focused on his resume virtues. Of course he's focused on the outward, and he's so cute, and he's got the job, and he's got the car, and he's got... And I can care less about any of that. And I've always been that way. That's just a Pisces sort of nature. But of course, and I have to understand this, you want to keep the psychology. That's why age and stage, Pitta. Pitta people, what are you going to tell them? Owning all day? Give me a break. When they get older in your Vata years, then you can. But if you're in a Pitta stage of life, these people are building. They're going to come with validation issues. So you educate them as to their value statements, but you have to understand they're in the evolution. They haven't gone back up yet. So this is where all the pieces come together. So whether you look at it as, oh, this person's in a Pitta stage of life, they're trying to become the CFO, so you give them certain herbs and you give them certain things. You're planting seeds for when they then come back around. So we can't just move on from one to the next. The theme is the theme for life. Yours and your clients and your kids and your parents. You ain't changing it. That is marked from the moment of conception. It is the separation. It is what caused them the expulsion from, what's this place that I said earlier? The Garden of Eden. There was one door, and they had to go through that door. And that's your door. There's something called alchemy. It's a spiritual, you might have heard it from turning lead into gold, but it's actually representative of a spiritual process. There's 7 steps to the alchemical process. The alchemy process, spiritually speaking or physically from the metals, is taking you from lead, Saturn is lead, and gold is the sun in your chart, the golden sun. the more and more and more that you reduce the lead with every 7 years, the closer you get to your I am presence, the closer you become your true nature. You can't speed it up. You can't speed it up. You meet yourself where you are. But that is your thread, honey. If you have issues with your sexuality, that's your issue. If you've got issues with money, that's your issue. You got issues with relations, that's your issue. Accept it. But now every time you have a job, every time you have money, every time you have sex, every time you have a relationship, you go with consciousness. How am I going to die with this? How am I going to reduce my ego? How am I going to learn? How am I going to act logically? How am I going to connect to the divine intelligence? So half the battle is knowing what that thing is. And you guys all saw it today. And I might have pulled it out of you with all these different examples, but it's not a shock to you guys. You've known this about yourself. It's where you keep hitting it. Your head against the rock over and over and over again. I just happen to hear what it is. And so if I, as a human being, flawed as I am, can hear, what's the universe hearing? And it's bringing it to you. And it keeps bringing it to you like the tide. And it brings it to you. Oh, you need money issues and lessons? Oh, here they are. Oh, you need to know to put yourself first? Oh my God, here you are. Oh my God, you need friends and you have to be more feminine? Well, here's some cancer. If I can hear it, you are constantly sending that vibe into the universe and it's bringing you. It's just a circle. And it's coming to you because you need those things to learn. However, like Buddha said, we need pain, suffering is optional. And the suffering comes when you want it your way. Ego, ego, ego. No, I don't need a man. A fish doesn't need a bicycle. And I am never gonna get married. Da, 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 da. And that's when there's suffering. Pain is inevitable. But you get to choose how much suffering. That's created in the mind. Any questions? Lots to think about? Bring your questions tomorrow. And I have so much to cover and I could do this like for 4 weekends in a row. Like I'm just like, I love this stuff. So I'll see you guys tomorrow and